Thank you.
Charge it to the card. You've heard that before. Well, with inflation and rising costs, a new trend is calling attention to it. Credit card delinquencies are reported to be at their highest level in 15 years. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, balances that are at least 90 days past due rose to 13.
Credit card delinquencies at its highest level in 15 years.
Bank of New York, balances that are at least 90 days past due rose to 13.12% in just the first quarter of this year. That's up from around 12% at the end of the first quarter last year. So how much debt are we talking? Well, credit card balances went from 1.18 trillion to 1.25 trillion. And as we all know, credit card delinquencies could result in late fees, account closure, and of course impact your credit score, that being a big one. And your payment history is important here. Discover Card says it can typically make up 35% of your credit score, depending on the scoring model used. So what should you do if you're delinquent? First, always make the minimum payment due, and if you can, pay more. If you're struggling, be sure to speak with your credit card company and ask for payment assistance programs to help you track, limit, and plan out your spending. And the third is
Sabrina in the comments brings up a good point. Sabrina in the comments, this is one of Dave Ramsey's talking points as well. He's just against credit altogether. He says don't try to build it, don't try to do anything with it. And Sabrina said the only reason I used to care about my credit score was to be able to buy a house one day. Now that seems out of reach, so oh well. Yeah, you can't buy a house. But the thing about that, Sabrina, is credit is still very important, even when you have to rent out here. A lot of people with evictions on their record and just bad credit card history or collections or whatever it may be, apartments and even private renters are not taking too many chances because people get burned so much. There's a bit of political volatility where you get, maybe a public official that gets voted in or whatever, then they change everything in the tenant's favor, like what they're doing in New York. There's a lot of uncertainty. So landlords and even just private companies, leasing companies, whatever, they're playing safe they'd rather be safe than sorry now. And so that is still a good reason to maintain a decent credit score. Although you can't buy a house, you're still probably going to have to rent somewhere. And you're probably going to have to move around in this landscape. By move around, I mean, it's one thing if you just say, oh, well, my credit is shot, so I'm going to just live at this one location for the next 7 years or however long it takes for whatever to come off my credit. That may not be a viable strategy because apartment complexes and, again, leasing companies, they're taking advantage of that in the form of raising rents year over year. And so in order to hedge against that and to somewhat keep your rent at a manageable rate, people have to move around. It's no different than when you see the storage unit companies. They just want you to move all your stuff in that storage unit. Shoot, they might make it $50 a month for the first year. But then after that, it goes to what it really is. Next thing you know, you're paying $200 moving forward. And that's how they get you. And so that is still, by having credit, that can still give you mobility and the ability to be able to make strategic moves to keep your lifestyle at a certain place. And by lifestyle, I'm really just referring to your expenses. Y'all, before we get into the next clip, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. It only takes a second and it's really just a click. So if you're here anyway, you might as well click that like button. And then also if you can hype the video as well.
See, me personally, I like living above my means. I feel like we live in a generation, and I absolutely agree. Don't live above your means. Live within your means, blah, blah. But here's the thing. I like being forced to make more money. I also like having nice things. Are my bills expensive? Hell yeah. Can I afford them? Hell yeah. Do I always got a lot of money to spend when I'm done paying them? Not always. But that's what makes me want to make more money, put more time in at work. find a way to make more content, because I get paid off of TikTok. You see what I'm saying? It's the principle. You feel me? I like to be on edge because it forces me to be on edge. Like, it forces me to be the edge, to be that sharp metal blade, to be that double-edged sword, like to be the bad motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like shit to push me, man. Real shit. And it's not to say that you should transition into life and make that your life. If you want to live comfortably, I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Keep driving that sedan, keep driving that car, keep living in it, or don't buy that house yet. That's cool. I'm not mad at you for it. But don't bash people that have expensive things and you know, live this expensive lifestyle, but have the want and desire to live above their means for the sake of feeling motivated to make more money, because that's the reason I do it. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to get up here and say that. See me?
Listen, man, I can respect certain aspects of what you're saying. I'll be the first person to advocate for preserving your edge, especially as a man, which is ultimately just staying sharp. This channel actually used to be a self-improvement channel when I first got on YouTube, and I actually created a self-improvement video about maintaining your edge, and it's on my members only. But there's a cognitive dissonance, and here's what I mean. The cognitive dissonance that I'm referring to, brother, a lot of people have this thing as far as, oh, I like to work harder, so, you know, I motivate myself to make more money. Making money isn't like going to the gym. If you just say, okay, I like to stay strong, I like to keep pushing my limits. Yeah, you can go to the gym and you can work out as much as you want and continue to build yourself and endure as much pain as possible. But when we talk about earning money in America, things get a little bit more complex. Case in point, he mentioned TikTok as one of his sources of making money. It's not linear as far as just the more I input into it, the more I get out. There's a lot of intricacies. There's a lot of complexities. For example, right now, what we see on TikTok was sweet. But then what do a lot of people say? TikTok was a Chinese-based company. It got bought out by the US, and now all of a sudden a lot of things have changed. And you see a lot of content creators saying that they're not getting paid, or that there's a lot more restrictions and hurdles in the way of them being able to get paid. So as you can see, you could be doing all the right things, working your butt off, grinding, and it's still not pay off, because it's more complex than that when we're talking about earning money. Because the true nature of earning money is not just about all the work that you put in. At the end of the day, when we're talking about earning money, making money, ultimately what that comes down to is you're convincing somebody to hand over their money and exchange it to you in exchange for something that they feel is of equal or greater value. So that's a little bit more complex of a dynamic of just, oh, I can just work my butt off and maintain my edge. No, there's more complex dynamics at work. And I would even argue, if you don't have things saved up for yourself so that you can navigate them more effectively, you can go from trying to just grind and be abundant to actually go into survival mode, to where then it would make things significantly more hard for you to continue your momentum in earning money. So you have to keep that in mind, sir. You have to keep that in mind, because you still got to live out here. And I would argue, if you're living in your car, that's going to mess up a lot of the things you're trying to do, as far as whether it's work, whether it's TikTok, and really just living your life in the way that you were trying to design it to be.
How is that considered financially stable? If we're spending, you said 14,000. If we're spending 14,000, making 11,900, 12,000, let's say. How is that financially stable?
The caption says she thinks it's okay to spend more money than they make.
Making 11,900, 12,000, let's say. How is that financially stable?
It's not financially smart, but it is stable as long as you can make the payments.
That's not stable. No. I need to correct this mindset, because it's dangerous for the future. It is not stable if our debt is just building, because then it gets to a point where all of a sudden the dam breaks.
I just came from a really financially unstable household, and so to me, this is
fantastic,
financially stable.
No, that's great.
No, this is
and
extra
you know what that
money.
should do? I came from a financially unstable household, foreclosure notices. You know what that did? That made me get my together. Why would you seeing financially unstable mean let's replicate that for my
Exactly. People. Exactly.
unstable mean let's replicate that for my children?
I think our children have a really great life.
They have a great life by you going into debt. Whenever my parents were able to send me to go do something cool,
Ma'am, they have a really great life right now. They're not going to have a really great life if something unstable, as she says, happens. And we truly use the word correctly. Unstable happens and destabilizes what you've grown accustomed to. And then now all of a sudden you're contemplating whether or not you're going to be living under a bridge. They're not going to have a fun life at that point. Ma'am, see, you'll be with somebody who is clear that without you, because I would argue her husband or whatever, he's probably the main breadwinner. It's clear that without him, oh, her life would really be going to ish. And eventually she'd probably get to a point where she just wants somebody to come in and just rectify the situation. But now you got to sit here and you got to take in her input and her opinions when she's clearly not fit, in my opinion, to manage. She ain't fit to manage nothing because she's coming at it all wrong. And here you have a objective third party who, this guy, I think his name is Caleb. He talks to hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people at this point. And this is his niche where he tries to help people get their finances in order. And if you're still inputting your opinions when he's trying to help you, I can imagine that that's how you are. And that's probably why you all spend the way that y'all spend. And your financial future is going to ish. So
So can we stop telling people that they're living above their means when they start complaining about the cost of things? Because when I got this apartment right here, clearly you can see it's a starter apartment. It's not anything luxury. Clearly not anything luxury. Not luxury at all. Look at the blinds. It's not luxury. Look at the closet. It's not luxury. You know what I paid? What does that say? Oh, $945 a month for a one bedroom. Y'all can see 2019. Lease was ending in 2020. 2020. You want to know what that apartment goes for now? I don't know what it goes for now. Oh, almost $2,000. Oh, why don't we just follow the advice of a boomer? Why don't we just purchase a home? Even the small rinky-dink homes like this are going for $323,000. The gag is, as early as 2014, this home sold for 48.
Sir, that's because you pay for location, sir. You pay for location. That's how real estate has always technically operated. Now, I do agree. He brought up the figures. It's definitely going up way past the rate of inflation in a lot of cases. But I would argue, let me see what it says. FMLS GA. So he lives in Georgia. By his voice tonality, I would assume Atlanta. So, brother, you live in Atlanta. That's one of the hottest metropolitan places. So, yeah, they've seen extreme growth. But I do agree what he's saying as far as just things have grown a lot to where it does put a lot on the everyday person, the everyday American. But I think we also can still see a lot of people living above their means in the example of the one we just watched with her husband, and examples of people going to concerts, going on trips, going all across the country. Even in their everyday life, they just live like they can eat out every day and go to nice restaurants and do nice activities. So two things can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. And I would argue that's why things are so exacerbated the way that it is. That's why things are plummeting so fast and people are feeling it so harshly, because they got two things working against each other. They got the economy going through a rough patch, which it will always do. The economy is cyclical. There's going to be good moments. There's going to be dips. There's going to be peaks. But then you also got people who haven't adjusted their lifestyle in response to the economy. And so that's why you end up sinking lower faster. And that's what a lot of people are feeling. And that's why a lot of people are coming online panicking now.
$8,000. $48,000. And if you look in 2012, it sold for $39,000. They have the audacity to be charging $323,000. I'm not even going to talk about gas prices. I'm not even going to talk about gas prices. I didn't even talk about groceries. These are literally the essentials. Just living. The living expenses are astronomical. But for some reason, y'all keep telling people that they're just living above their means. I remind you, this apartment is almost $2,000 and it's not a luxury apartment. Y'all want to hop into the comment section talking about, oh, well, I found an apartment that was $700 a month. Yeah, and as soon as you click on the reviews, you see roach infestation, rodent infestation, guns, shooting, weed, all of these things. People should not be subjected to that if they don't want to be subjected to that. If having a safe and clean place is living above your means, then hell yeah, I'm going to live above my means. So can we stop
Well, hold on. Unobjective, I haven't seen it yet. But let's take a look at his profile. And let's see if we can see that he's living above his means a little bit. Because, okay, where you live, that means you got to make adjustments in your life. Guess what? Are you willing to say, well, the economy is kind of in a way where apartments have gone up tremendously. So for this year, through this period, I may not be able to go out for the entire year. Are you able to make that adjustment? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. But that's what's necessary. And that's what it ultimately means to be an adult. Or you may have to make the adjustment that you just may have to work more to get through this period. Or during the good times when the economy was great, you might have needed to make the concession that you needed to save during that period instead of just spending everything like it was always going to happen. But let me see. He really just does a lot of stuff in the house, so he doesn't really showcase his life. He doesn't do lifestyle content. Hold on now. Wait a second. Wait a second.
Disney, I need for y'all to come to the front.
This is Disney Channel.
They are at Ariana Grande's concert, Shazamming Honeymoon Avenue. I repeat, they are at Ariana Grande's concert.
I didn't know if he went to the concert or not or whatever. But, man, we don't even have to go through it, man. The bottom line, bro, we know you be living your life. You be living your life. We know you do. And, it just is what it is. But I can't agree things are hard, but although you don't really have much bass in your voice, you're still a man, so you just got to do what you got to do. And it sounds like you don't got kids.
I'm 29 years old and I'm $381,000 in debt. So
you don't even got kids. So what really are you complaining about?
I'm 29 years old and I'm $381,000 in debt. So someone asked me how much my monthly payments were, and let's go down the list. So my Avant personal loan is $575. My Landmark personal loan is $342. My Best Egg personal loan is $389. My first car loan is $260. My second car loan is $162. My Wells Fargo credit card is $50. My Discover credit card is $80. My Unify credit card is $30. My Navy Federal credit card is $50. My first mortgage is $1,626. And my second mortgage, I don't make payments on right now. So that's a total of $3,566 a month. Now, mind you, I still have to pay insurance on both cars each month. I have to pay for rent for the place that I live in, my life insurance, tuition because I'm still in school and I don't receive FAFSA anymore. So, yeah, I have a lot of different bills that's not included in this. This is just the bills that show up on my credit.
He said FAFSA, so student loans. So you see what I'm talking about? If the economy is bad, what that's supposed to be an indication is you might be like, okay, I might need to sell one of these cars, sell one of these houses, etc. This dude is deciding to have ultimately overhead, a bunch of overhead. And the way I explain overhead is if you have something over your head, then that means that it could have the ability to come down and crush you. So you have overhead out the wazoo, and you still trying to maintain it in a bad economy when you need to strategize and you may need to say, let me sell one of these cars. I sell this car, I can pay off some of this over here. Or maybe I just don't have to pay as much during the month. I'm still gonna pretend like I don't get that money, and then I'm gonna allocate that money that I was paying on my cars to one of these other bills over here, sell one of these houses, take some of that equity, knock down some of this debt, because you don't want to have a volatile you don't want to have a lot of volatility and overhead during a tough period, because you F around, you mess up where you can't pay anything, or you just put a little bit on everything and then you lose everything. So this is what I mean. People making things more complex on themselves than it has to be in the midst of a crazy economy. And then they wonder why they're drowning faster than they would really have to. At this point, you just need to buy some time. You got to just get through this, maneuver this, get over to the other side, and then stay on the path.
We have to be very careful with who we take advice from on the internet, because the other day I saw a video of someone suggesting that people should live above their means, because when you live above your means, you're forced to work harder, grind harder, you'll end up being able to afford the stuff that you want. Now, if you don't have any core financial responsibilities, of course, you can live above your means. Now, when you have core responsibilities, rent, groceries, car insurance, car note, the whole nine, in my opinion, living above your means is piss poor advice. Now, there's a difference between being able to afford something and being able to comfortably afford it. Now, if I can afford something, but it's going to cause me to go into debt, I'm going to have to look at picking up a second job. I'm stressed out. For me, it's not worth it. The trade-off for whatever it is that I want is not worth the additional stress for me. And I know there are times where people have to pick up additional shifts, get a second job, or use a credit card.
What energy are y'all picking up? What energy are y'all picking up? While we're just watching this video, just feel the energy.
In order to make ends meet, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people going into a situation knowing that they cannot comfortably afford something, but doing it anyway because they'll just figure it out. So for me, that is advice that I would never take. Don't allow someone from the internet to convince you to do something that you'll likely regret.
Feel the energy. Even after finishing that, I feel I feel like I can exhale. It was no chaos whatsoever. Very orderly environment. It was silent as a mouse. You didn't hear no yeah. Nothing. Very orderly. It's clear that she has sound and reasonable advice, and ultimately just a sound, reasonable headspace that she lives in. And you see how she thinks. And ultimately, like I said, it felt like serenity. And notice how that trickles out into her outcomes as well as just into her environment. Into her environment. She said she differentiated between being able to afford something and being able to comfortably afford something. And I think that is the caveat that a lot of people are missing. That is the key piece of information that is common sense. But there's a large segment of people that you have to explain everything to them for them to understand simple concepts. It's like when people are like, I don't know how to budget. You didn't learn addition and subtraction in school? Okay, let's break this down. So we know what you make, right? Those are easy numbers because you get it paid bi-weekly. So you got that. Boom. You know what you bring in. Now, look at everything, all your expenses. All right, we wrote those down. We have our expenses. Make sure whatever you make after the end of the month, you keep more than you spend. Voila, budget. It was just addition and subtraction. And people act like they need to be handheld to know how to budget. And we live in 2026 where there's apps out here to where they'll just sync up and integrate with your bank account, and they'll go ahead and tally up your expenses and what you earn, and it'll generate a budget for you. And people act like they just can't get it done. So obviously it's not about a tactical, it's not from a tactical standpoint. What a lot of people have trouble with is the discipline standpoint. They can't discipline themselves, and they can't forsake their desires momentarily in order to preserve their longevity. And because they're just typically, the environment is what affects them internally. The environment seeps into them internally, and then that's how they live their life. It's obvious that she has a very good mind space internally. And so that actually seeps out into her environment and her outcomes, like I said. And that's the way that you need to do things. It needs to start within here. And then you need to be in full control. The external world doesn't need to be controlling you and controlling your wants, your needs, your vices, your desires. People have to get a grip. A lot of people think that they need more things than they actually need. And that causes them to live above their means.
This is what 3.5 months of extreme discipline looks like in paying off my credit cards. This is just for my Chase card. So starting in January 1st, I owed $7,464. I've already made a minimum payment, so I'm pretty sure this card was sitting at around $8,000. I still don't have the screenshots. $7,401, $6,899, $5,747, $2,834. This is really when all the sacrifice started to feel worth it. $2,468, $1,857, $1,452, $990, and we're at zero. So this is 3.5 months. So all of January, all of February, all of March, and half of April, I was inside. This is what sacrifice looks like. This was me wearing the same clothes over and over again, staying inside, cooking basically all my meals at home.
Didn't I tell you people think they need more than what they need? Her sacrifice in her mind, she said, this is me wearing the same clothes over and over again. Who thinks that if we went in her closet, the average person would be like, ma'am, you have more than enough clothes? But see, she thinks she needs to constantly have new clothes in the flow. Ma'am, and I'm not coming for her. She got it done. But then don't go back to thinking that that's what you need. You need to stay on this track, because people never really think about the fact that you can reverse engineer this debt thing. I done seen Dave Ramsey tell people, you got $120,000 worth of debt. You need to eat rice and beans, pork and beans for 3 years. You don't go to no restaurants, don't go on no trips. You live in the house, and you take walks at the park for 3 years, and you'll pay off your $120,000 of debt, which ultimately means you're just going to end up at zero when it's all said and done, but you ain't going to owe nobody. Imagine if you reverse engineered that from zero, and then you came up with a 3-year plan to actually save $120,000. But people won't look at it like that. For a lot of people, their ultimate goal is, at the most, a lot of times, just to get debt free. They're not giving a care in the world about retirement or about ultimately growing their net worth. Once they get at zero, it's like, cool. Now, any money that I make discretionary, now I can spend that or whatever. Just got to stay at zero. That's still an emergency. That's still not a good situation. You could lose your job. And then what? People are not thinking like that. People got to start thinking like that. And then again, people will have an opportunity to go on a 3-year run and save that type of money, so that then when we end up in an economy like this, now you got some savings. Now you don't got to make rash decisions and urgent decisions that aren't necessarily in your best interest long term, just to be able to survive. Now you can still be strategic and still make power moves that are going to enable you further as you continue to move on and position you better long term. Y'all, we'll leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype the video, hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and it shows the points. And since I'm a smaller creator, a smaller channel, we actually get more points per hype. And hype was designed for smaller channels. So that's why. But if you come across a video and you don't see the hype button, then it's probably been over 7 days. And hype usually vanishes after 7 days. So it's usually best practice if you want to hype to just go ahead and hype while the iron is hot on a newer video. And then also, if you want to become a member of the channel as well, the join button's on the video. And what becoming a member of the DXU family will come with is you would get badges next to your comments where it will show people that you are a member whenever you leave a comment, as well as you would get early access to content and also exclusive content that's not available for everyone else on YouTube. So again, if you want to become a member, the join button's on the video. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.